Welcome everybody to the Release 35 Postmortem Livestream. As you can see, we started this a little bit differently, gave it a little bit of a hopeful smoother start. We've got here Chris, the man. The evil man. I was going to say, it's like, what are we going for on the mustache thing? We'll explain that in a minute, I think. I think I've got something going on here, too. My name is Matthew Barrick Anderson, community manager for the game, and, of course, you want to introduce yourself? The Evil Star? Is that it? No, wait, Dark Star. That's it.
Dark Star. I'm always evil, so.
By default.
But you're chaotic.
Well, yeah.
You're not evil, chaotic. I agree.
I'm chaotic. I'm not evil. So.
And we also have Richard Garriott on the live stream as well. And also Lum the Mad. Is that right? Is it Lum the Mad?
It's Lum the Irritated.
Okay, and also Gina, how are you doing? All right, so we have a great live stream for you guys here, talking about Release 35. Kicked off pretty quickly. We're really rolling on the releases here, trying to get ahead of some of the holidays that are coming up here. And speaking of holidays, celebrating a lot of different things with the community. A few of those things we just announced recently, a couple of charity events, even a couple of things in the game, right, that we put on.
Yeah, so we just recently, the UN had National Toilet Day, which most people can't actually say with World Toilet Day, sorry, we can't actually say with a straight face. But it's a effort by the UN, which our charity partner, water.org, it's an effort for everyone to have clean sanitation and access to clean water. And so working with water.org, we created the ornate version of the outhouse, fit for royalty, as some may say, a throne fit for royalty. And in addition to that, and we put out actually a report for everybody about our charitable efforts so far. So thank you everyone for your generosity in that effort through our Make a Difference store and other charitable efforts. And once again, we're doing Movember. We have a mustache of the Avatar team. So we're getting off to a start here. I've got a little bit of gray though, so it's kind of hard to see it on the stream, but it is happening.
It's funny, no gray here.
Yeah, youngster. We're raising money through the Movember organization for raising awareness of men's health, and we'll be growing mustaches through November. I may actually keep mine past that, but we have a team. There's a link on our website where you can contribute if you'd like through the month of November, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Do we have anybody else in the team that's remote? Richard, are you participating as well?
Well, I'm going to default participating. No, I'm not doing any special mowing on my face here of late. But obviously, I'm very excited to see the whole team and the community jumping out and support. Thank you to Star for your leadership on the Movember part.
All right, so we have I've saved this specifically for the Release 35 live stream because it happened to end and coincide with our recent house decorating Homes of New Britannia screenshot contest. We went through each house, every entry that was submitted in the forums. We also visited in the game, and we took a look level by level of your houses, including the basements, the outside, and took a look at them in as a whole, and evaluated each one. And I have to say that this community, I've never been a part of a community like this that has gone so far to show the skill that they have in decorating their homes, having a home for that matter. Not every game has that, obviously. And really does really damn well at it too. It's the variety. We've had 7 categories, potential to win, and some of those were like scariest. We've had elegant, and in fact, I'll just go through the list right now. Shop service theme, won a category. Rustic theme, elegant theme, naturalistic theme, so like trees, plants, forests, that sort of thing. That's my favorite personally. Spooky theme, and best, also spooky, speaking of spooky, best spooky costume, because we realized that not everybody has an actual home in the game yet. We also wanted to get everybody a chance to participate. and we put in there the spooky costume, and there was 3 entries to that. And it was a tough call even just for those 3. But overall, for the houses specifically, we had over 60 entries divided by these categories. Not one, though, that was help me here, the Clockworks theme, where it's the steampunk. Thank you. I don't know what I was saying. Clockworks. It's
Well, there's
steampunk.
clockpunk and there's steampunk.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Well, we had a steampunk category, and we really didn't get any entries for that. So we added another well-decorated category. We only had one of those. We added a second because there were so many of that type that we felt that we wanted to include as many as possible in winning. So we have 2 of those. We're going to name them now. We're going to name who won each category, and then we'll have those presented on the main website after this postmortem, along with a list on a nice page of all of the entries in the contest, so you don't have to go through and get buried in the forums and trying to find and browse all the winners. You'll see them on this page, and then you can go visit them in the game yourself. So I have the winner sheet here. For the shop service theme, the winner is Bamboozle. Congrats, Bamboozle. For the rustic theme, this was a really good one because it had a really rich kind of from the front and back of the house, top to bottom, completely decorated in this rustic, like it would be a perfect house in the middle of a forest. In fact, I think it was. So beautiful. Meridian.
Yay.
Rustic theme goes to Meridian. Elegant theme goes to, I apologize if I get some of these mispronounced, maybe amazing. It was amazing. So we're gonna go with that. Amazing. Congrats.
I always read that as amazing.
It's a double A.
2 A's. So.
Yeah. For the naturalistic theme, Chrissa Locks. Beautiful ceiling work. The top floor with all the plants. I love that. That was really impressive. Now for a little bit of Halloween flavor. Spookiest theme. This was a real tough one.
This one was tough.
We watched. We were looking at we were talking about the one filled with all the
skulls. Yeah. Very,
very cool.
This was the runner-up for sure.
Yeah. But it went to Andrew Silverstone. The all-around, well-decorated. Now this all-around is spacing of the furniture, how many items and how frequently you have things on the walls, that sort of thing. Just walking in and just being impressed. Not specifically any particular theme, just very well decorated, top to bottom, outside and in. First goes to Nemesis 2. Congrats, Nemesis 2. And the second one, remember we added another one for this category, Michikal, not Michigan, Michikal. Congrats, Michikal.
Hey.
Now this we actually had this guy for the spooky costume part of this. You can submit a house entry and a costume entry. You could do both. And this guy submitted one for the house. He didn't win in those categories, but he won the costume, the spooky costume part. Goes to Lice Meat.
Yes, Lice Meat.
Now,
and that was a particular. Yeah, so it was the male avatar wearing a coconut bras with the skeletal armor helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was quite a get up.
Yeah, but we do have to mention
it was scary. It was really scary. That was very scary.
So it's the scary is not always the classic scary. It's the WTF scary.
Yeah, like you can't unsee that scary.
Yeah. Now I mentioned he also submitted a house submission as well. Very interesting. He had a house decorated in meat slabs. The entire floor was meat slabs.
Nice.
If we had more creepy categories, that would have won as well, I think. So congrats to everybody. Amazing houses again. We'll have all those listed on the website after the postmortem. Now we have one more community-focused theme that we've been wanting to really get to for a long time now, and that is the announcement of the OMBs for our moderators. We are providing all 7 of our moderators. Some of them you probably have seen before. If you're newer players, maybe you don't even realize we have moderators. These are moderators that have dedicated at least a year, some 2, to helping us in mainly the discussion forums on the official website to encourage discussions. They also help out with just sorting things in the marketplace. The marketplace is relatively new, and we really appreciate all the feedback that you guys have on how that has been developing, and we've tweaked it. We just added actually a new commodity section of the marketplace, and that has been greatly elevated, keeping it clean by our moderators that work with us. They're volunteers. They do what they can, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I know that we have 7 of them. Only 1 could actually attend and visit us at the studio here today. So I wanted to bring him in to kind of represent our volunteer moderators.
Hello.
Welcome, Tazar. How are you doing here? I think we can squeeze you in the camera.
Yep, have a seat.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Nice seeing you and enjoying your.
And he brought some beer for us. That was very kind of you. Thank you. So this is Tazar. This is one of our 4 moderators that has been a moderator. Well, you've been a community member since the beginning, but a moderator for at least 2 years now.
Yeah.
And so, just really quickly, like, what's it like, being a moderator? Like, what do you like doing?
Mainly it's community support. It's keeping a civil tone, keeping people working together more than against each other, trying to pull the community together in ways. There's some negatives to it. Occasionally you have to take actions you don't really want to take when somebody's just going way overboard, which usually is the result of too much of that alcohol stuff. But it's really all community oriented.
Yeah, well,
it's bringing people together.
We really appreciate that, and I know the community really appreciates it because there's so many things going on in the forums. We try to keep everything categorized, try to keep everything sorted and clean, and just we have the report system for the forums, and it's not just for reporting, like somebody's doing something wrong, we got to report them. It's also very useful for just keeping us aware of things that maybe, so one of the things that the moderators help out with is just simply moving threads from one area of the forums to another, keep it sorted. Simple things like that. And we get reports on like the marketplace, like one post is, it's in one area, want to sell section, and it should be in maybe the commodities, the new commodity section that we just started.
Right.
And you help out with that, we really appreciate that. So, I've been here for about half a year now, and you've, had a lot more to do with moderation of this community, and I've seen that come through, and we just wanted to, it's been on the books for a while now, wanted to just to thank you, and I know that with these awarding OMBs, we actually, I think we're shipping these to you, but I have one here just to show everybody what we're talking about. Here's an OMB. Richard, I have one that I'm showing everybody on camera. I know you can't see this, but I'm just giving everybody a visual of the OMB, and Tazar is here with us. So I don't know if you have anything you wanted to say about the OMBs, like how, what they are, how they're awarded, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Let me thank you for the toss-off, and thank you, Tazar, for being there in person, and for the rest of you, 6 or 8, or how many we get here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. First of all, this is a great thanks for you today. But for those of you who don't know about our ONBEs, or Order of the New Britannian Empire, as well as our royal warrants that we give out, the ONBEs are modeled after the Order of the British Empire Awards, which is a type of award that used to be common in kingdoms throughout the old world, where the crown would go to various people that had performed particularly great service to the community at large, and give them this ONB, which basically means the title of a knighthood, of a true knighthood. And so we thought we would like to do the same thing here for people within our community who, more than, this is not given to people who play the game well, or any one of the other Bartles 4 player types of, explorers and, achievers and so role players or dissidents. This is for the people who are very specifically reaching out across to other members of the community to help them have a fun and successful life in New Britannia. And nothing really epitomizes that better than the moderators who have been helping us through this time, throughout the history of this game, but you all right now. I mean, as you all know well, it is not only essential to have quality moderation take place that to make sure that the community remains happy and healthy, and understands that we're listening and communicates with themselves and with each other and with us in a positive way, and that we don't miss important things that are going by. That community moderation is one of the true pillars of the new era of games that came in really with online games, with these online communities, and I believe we have one of, if not the strongest community yet growing here within this product. Obviously, we're not to the scale we hopefully ultimately will be, but I think if you look at the quality of the community, we have arguably one of, if not the very best, and a big part of that is because of your help. And so anyway, we wanted to offer each of you an OMBE, an Order of the New Britannian Empire. It's my pleasure to be here to help present these to you, and Matthew will get them to each of you as quickly as possible. Obviously, Tazar will give you yours right now. I do have this list here of kind of the work that the moderators do. I could either illustrate these, Matthew, or you could cover that if you'd like.
I'm happy to do it. Thank you, Richard. Just to list real quick who these 7 moderators are. We have CS2150X, interesting name. Not a robot by any means, a real person. Darkblade, Koldar, Lord Viator, Mystic, Ultima Codex, and of course Tazar. So thank you again for being the one to stop by and give us some beer. I mean, being a moderator.
Yep. And here you are, sir. And since Richard is not here, I will act in his.
Thank you, Dark Star.
Gotta get this one. There we go. All right. But I'll try not to draw blood, unless you want me to.
No, I don't want to do it real quick.
All right.
That would be great.
Let's stop how well that went. There you
Yeah,
go, sir.
Star would faint if he did.
Well deserved. Yeah, then I would faint, and then that would be a short postmortem. All right. Well, thank you, sir. Job well done.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
Well done.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a straight trip back home.
Yeah. And thanks for the beers.
Yes.
Always.
All right.
Okay, so the moderators help out. If anybody has any questions on exactly what they do and how they participate, you can always ask me. Just send me a PM in the forums, and I'm happy to explain it. Questions? Actually, wait. We have prizes. We have a load of prizes to give away. Maybe we should do a few of those first.
Let's do some prizes, and then we'll do a Q&A.
Yeah. Do we have some prizes ready, Lum?
I think we do. First, we have $10 in store credit that goes to Gridseed. And we also have 10 Kodos, and Alexander DeLarge wins those. And we have a drive-by. Finn wins the drive-by. And a magical cycling 12-pack of die won by Sneaky P. And finally, for your Thanksgiving needs, a 2015 speckled turkey pet.
Is
And
that 2015 or 2016? It should be.
It should be 2016.
Yeah.
You're the one who made this.
Yeah,
And that goes to Lace. Congratulations to all the winners.
Congratulations, everyone. All right, on to the questions.
Yay!
All right, starting with some miscellaneous questions. Ronan asks, why will Portalarium not revert back to YouTube? We're archiving to YouTube, so why not use Twitch and YouTube? And I'm going to hot potato this one to Mr. Anderson.
Okay, so we've had, as you've seen since I've been on board, I've been messing with the live stream here, causing problems and trouble.
Messing with it, man.
Yes, I know. Yeah, that's an understatement. But it really is to, like you should see right now, this in 1080p. So a little bit sharper. You can see our mustaches, our November mustaches, a little bit clearer than you would otherwise. And we've done work to prepare for more live streams, like the community live stream that kicked off last week. That will, by the way, have one next week. We're going to be going around hometown. Sneak peek on that. Stay tuned for details. And it's just to really, find ways to make sure that we are providing a little better quality live stream, that we're not wasting resources, that sort of thing. And one of the big problems with some of the shenanigans that we had in the last few live streams with cutouts and drops of the live stream have been that we wanted to give it literally to everybody at once. YouTubers, those on Twitch, and we didn't even have Twitch before, but once we did that, we tripled our total viewer count for these Hangouts, just having it on Twitch. So we realized we have to have it on Twitch somehow. But that strained our bandwidth and our resources, and it dropped. We have a great internet connection here, but it's just the way the setup is. We use XSplit. We've considered some other alternatives, but we use XSplit. We have Hangouts going right now, which is where Richard, Gina, and Lum are, and connecting all that together and putting it out to Twitch at the same time was a little bit too much, and a little bit too much for me to actually just manage here manually. So you see when we're doing questions that I'm focused on my monitor. We have several monitors here to monitor your chat coming in on Discord. If you're not on Discord, by the way, get on Discord. You can ask questions for us on the live stream here once we get to those. And just make it simpler, basically. So we had to ultimately cut YouTube because we realized that was stretching the bandwidth. So we don't have live stream on YouTube right now. However, this will go on YouTube after it is concluded. So you will see it there as an archive. So if you have any friends or guildmates or whoever that, I can only watch it on YouTube, don't worry. They'll just have to watch it afterwards.
All right. Let's see. Rufus Disparity wants to know what are the plans for the fulfillment of the Family Crest Founders Reward. So our current plan continues to be to use the College of Arms and some sort of a version of the heraldry generation that they're using as an output. So for performance reasons, the details of how that will work, we've just recently have resurrected that conversation, so we don't have details exactly on how the communication between those two work, but our official position continues to be to work with the College of Arms to generate your heraldry symbol. So that's the plan. Koldar asks, can we provide details on how to receive the specific rewards outlined in the testing incentive program beyond the 4-hour reward? So what I need to do for you guys is provide a list of what order you'll receive them in, which I haven't done yet, and I'll try to get that out for release 36 along with the release notes. While we are tying it to the number of actual confirmed issues reported, i.e. you can't just create an issue that isn't a real issue. It has to be an issue that we confirm and it goes in the system, etc. We're trying, we're debating about how releasing those actual details. One, because we don't necessarily want to be locked into those exact numbers, and we also want to be able to reward contributions that are beyond just that strict number of issues, because that's not always a great measure of contribution. So for instance, the work that the Bug Brigade guys are doing isn't necessarily just work that's related to exact number of issues. So we want there to be a subjective criteria of just contributing to testing in general, like the work the Bug Brigade does. So that's why we've been kind of reluctant to release exact, you have to do exactly this to get this thing. It's really, we want to say the higher level of contribution you do to testing in general, the more things you get. Again, trying to keep the details, not lock ourselves into exact details, because we want to, again, reward contribution as a whole, not exactly things like you have to enter 30 bugs. Because, again, while that is a criteria we're looking at, the number of issues you report, It isn't the only thing. So hopefully that was an answer. Mischievous Dragon asks, can we add a birch tree 6-pack to the add-on store? I've noted that as a request. We can get that in the backlog. That's a tree type that we don't currently have. Forever Lost asks, will online regional economies and other features be removed from offline play where there is no one else to compete with economically? Yes, so one of the outstanding tasks for offline play is it will have its own economy balance. While I don't know if we would remove regional economy completely, it will certainly be different, and the economy will be different in the way things like in offline mode, you can sell, for instance, crafted items for a profit, because so that would be one of the ways that the offline economy would be different, for instance. So yes, offline will have a very different economy than online. Let's see, 2112 Starman, is there anywhere we can go to view player concurrency numbers and other statistics?
So not currently. We still do have plans, and yes, I'm finally talking. I've seen how long I could hold out without actually saying anything other than yay.
On Discord?
No, in the chat I haven't actually said anything other than evil, Chris, and yay.
Yeah.
But anyways, chiming in now. We still do have plans on opening up some metrics to websites, letting them register and pull that data so they can show that type of stuff. Right now, I think we'll talk about it here in a bit, but I think most people knew that we're pretty slim on staff. On the tech side of things, people that could handle that type of stuff, and now we have great news that we need to talk about at some point. Do we have that on the agenda?
Which news?
2 new people to introduce?
Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah, we need to.
Yeah, I was going to put that on here, but we can do it right now. Why not?
But anyways, for those who are curious, it will be using the same thing we use internally, Elasticsearch Logstash Kibana, where we'll give you access to the Elasticsearch data. But we have not set that up. Hopefully to have it live in the not too distant future. We have it live internally. It's just we need to have ways to filter what data we expose to you guys.
Do you want me to round up some new guys?
Sure.
Bring them in here? Okay.
Yep.
I'll see who I can find.
Okay, while he does that, we'll answer some more questions. Dax Digler asks, has the new Bug Brigade team helped in any significant way? I know that Adam Wood is very thankful to us, but I was just wondering if this effort is actually making an impact on getting bug squash. Absolutely. I mean, the biggest issue we have right now is you guys are reporting lots of issues. The community has reported lots of issues, but I mean, we're probably only, if I had to guesstimate, I would say we've probably only entered a third to a half of those issues into JIRA. And so the Bug Brigade is helping us tremendously with that effort. So please keep doing it. It is helping a lot. All right. So one of our...
I have to comment on that too, which is, as probably most of you know, we have a 2.5-person in-house QA team officially, but most of what they spend their time on, other than some customer service activities that they also do, is to verify that bugs have been fixed. And so they are managing the bug process and verifying that things are corrected. But the fire line between us putting out the early draft of any system or map or anything else and the final polished version of what it needs to be is y'all and me, to be frank. As we've mentioned before, how I'm going through and kind of doing some white glove polish now on some of the quest items. In fact, just the last couple days ago, Tuesday, I finished the love quest for the first time. But the volume I'm putting in compared to what you're putting in, you guys are really very much on the front lines. I'm sort of picking up the items that I know aren't necessarily literally bugs, might be really more polish intent. But boy, do we need you, and boy, are we appreciative.
Yeah. All right. So
we had a question that came in through chat that really does tie in to that well. It's it comes from Madmon, and he asks, what is being done about bug reports that are not getting confirmed? Are these still being counted? So I know there's some confusion about that, and good chance for us to clarify.
Oh, right. And so, so we're looking at both bugs that have been confirmed and bugs that bug reports that have been just generated, period. Again, that's why we're kind of reluctant to provide exact numbers, because a lot of it right now is subjective, and we're just looking at overall contribution and again, we are, we have 2.5 QA people. Because one person, it's not even that, it's like two QA people and one person that's a CS person that sometimes does QA.
And one of the QA people is also kind of the IT guy too.
Right. So we have really one QA person. That's one full-time QA person. And so we are, but yes, we are looking at both overall bugs generated plus confirmed bugs plus other factors like overall contribution. So all those are getting factored in. But at the same time, we're also we're not giving out everything at once. So we want people to have something to strive for. So that's why and we want the threshold to be high to get things like the really awesome Scorpion chair. So with that, now we want to introduce our two newest additions to the team, two new programmers. You've probably seen their names in the stand-up notes. But
These are all the only two I could actually grab. The other guys are hard at work with other people. So
well, we only
These
have
guys
two
were
guys.
slacking off playing pool.
The other. Did we announce everybody else?
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Two.
Yeah. So
This is it.
all right, Jim, you first.
I'm Jim Cherry. I'm going to be focusing on the mostly the back end and server issues, and I'm on the technology team. And I'm very excited to be here. It's a big challenge, and there's a lot of really interesting systems that are already in place and need maintenance and improvement. And so hopefully I'll be helping with the bug fixes and performance issues and whatever else needs doing. That's what I'm here for.
And he is, for those people who know many of the team members, he's going to be helping out Tassilo quite a bit, but also working on the game systems once he gets up to speed on that.
Yeah, and his first thing he's working on is the ability for folks who are playing in offline mode to get their pledge items and items they purchased off the add-on store. So that's going to be the first major system task that he's working on. All right.
And someone just posted a picture of a unicorn in here, so they apparently are aware that you're a unicorn.
Yeah, that he can do back-end systems, game systems, and web stuff. So yeah, that is totally a unicorn in programming. All right, and Robert Thompson.
I'm Robert
Dr.
Thompson.
Robert Thompson.
Fair enough. I'm working on the programming team. I do what Chris tells me to do. Just been spending time looking through the code base and getting familiar with things and trying to fix some bugs.
And names in the forums?
Oh, I'm undone.
I haven't yet set up my forum, but I'll be Polytropoi is my web handle I usually use.
So all you backers out there, if you want to go reserve that name now, you can sell it to them for $50 or
1,500.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, use that to blackmail.
Somebody actually will.
Yeah. All right, thanks,
they
Emily.
won't be able to spell it. It's okay.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Okay, next question from Roth, and I'm probably going to hot potato this one to you, Chris.
Oh, I better read them.
What pseudo-random number generation algorithm is used in Shroud?
So I think we get this one about every third or fourth hangout of people being very concerned about the random number generator. So I've done a ton of studies on them, and I mean I know all the different ones like the LCG, the linear concurrential generator, and the Mersenne Twister's one that a lot of people love and hate, and all these other types. Honestly, it does not matter. I'm assuming you're aware of at least a little stuff here because you use the word pseudo in there for random number generator instead of a random number generator. But the things that are important to us is that it have a good spread and it be something that we can reproduce on a server if needed. So ours handles that. It does have a perfect spread over time, long enough period of time. I know this is one of those things like a D&D session where people think their dice are loaded and they're checking them and looking at them and stuff, and people think that it's bad. The honest truth is, a lot of times when there are issues where it feels like the random number generator is against you, it's actually probably a bug in the game where the UI is actually against you and telling you wrong numbers. We've seen that on a number of occasions. So I'm not going to say what random number generator we use. I will say we have confirmed it is random. Random enough for
Random enough.
our needs. And no one will be able to tell just because there's also a lot of different stuff with in terms of the seeds and how the random number generator moves around. And I mean, there's a lot of things that go on. You'll never know the random number generator is wrong if it is wrong. So, anyways, I think that's probably it. But let's never talk about this again. Random number generator is one of those things that frustrates programmers because it doesn't really matter in terms of game programming.
All right. Next up, Lady Morgana asks if we can add tabletop version of the Titans of Love, Truth, and Courage to the add-on store. Great suggestion, and made me think that we should do more tabletop versions. Like we have all the, we have stone statues of like the bear and the zombie and the other things like that. And so we should.
I'll put the zero in for you.
Well, thank you, sir. I was making a note, but you can save me one step and enter a JIRA. So, great suggestion. All right, Nemesis asks, do we play the game starting like we do from level 1 and working our way up levels PvE? Richard does constantly.
Daily.
Literally every single day. And he pushes on Chris and I to do that same thing. And I actually recently we used to be much more religious about that. In fact, we have an 11 o'clock play session on our that's like supposed to happen right after our stand-ups. Our stand-ups every day happen from 10 to 10:30. And then at 11 o'clock, we have an appointment that's on the calendar for everyone to do a play session, which we don't enforce. But we should. And recently, I just started a new character again, which you might see me on live. I think it's called Stars Playtest. So it's really hidden. It's hidden so carefully. I think someone saw me the other day playing. Yes, we do play. Not as much as we probably should, but we're making an effort to do more of that.
And just so people know, the things that I usually do is I'll make a character and I will set myself. I pick a couple different levels. Usually the two that I make sure and test things on are at 40 and 80, and I'll try to do play sessions with a level 40 with appropriate level skills from that much experience being spent, in a level 80 with that type of skills. And sometimes I'll just set myself to be level 80, all skills to 80. Let's see how this plays. Or sometimes I'll do 40. Let me set my skills to a couple skills to 80. But anyways, I do play tests. I do not have time to constantly reset my character daily, and I need to be able to see what high-end content, the mix of content, mid-content, high-end content, really high-end content, how it's playing. So I do not play from scratch every day. I do have a second secret character that I still have not revealed to people, but I'm trying to remember. I think I'm only about 35 playing through without cheating.
I have a second secret character too. It's odd that we all are doing that, but mine, like Stars, is not particularly well hidden because it's my other alter ego that everybody's familiar with. But I'll be playing that one legitimately, whereas Lord British will be immortal and, uber. Shamino will, in fact, be playing through like any one of y'all.
All right. Let's see. Moving on to some questions about performance and user interface. But before we do that, I was suddenly told in all caps, prizes. So, Lum the Irritated, can you provide us some prizes, please?
Sure, I'm trying to get control of my system. I'm actually working on things while we're doing this. So next round, we have $10 in store credit going to Inath. I think I'm saying that correctly. $10, saying 10 Kodos, or $10, going to Mr. Capital G. I think that we know his first initial. And a set of ornate bagpipes goes to Bambino. And an ornate umbrella goes to Oba. And that's your prizes this round.
Right. A couple of my friends.
Nice.
Congrats.
All right.
It's been raining here a lot recently. I could use that.
Yeah. Wombi would like to know, for those of us with crappy internet and spinning Rust drives,
Rusty.
yeah.
Wow.
Scene loads are an abomination. Can you
Yes,
please-
they are.
Can you please talk about how you plan to reduce the delay?
So actually, a programmer has just started on that. Astarte has started working on that finally. We have a lot of things that get initialized right at the start that are not loaded in the background. So as for the start of the game, for those people playing on SSDs, you don't know what I'm talking about. Those people playing on spinny drives know that sometimes starting the game, especially a client that's been patched a lot, because the patching process fragments the files are really, really bad, and every time you patch, it fragments it a little worse. Defragment your drive, it'll help. But anyways, for those people, it can take up to 5 minutes to get from the I started the thing to you'll be on a white screen basically for 5 minutes in some cases. So that we're working on fixing that now. There's a lot of other things that we're not doing right now. There's still a lot of things we aren't caching. I'm going to blame Stars. I do every single Hangout since day one because he sets the priority, and we're kind of behind on our taking a release to do a performance pass. I'd not been pushing for it just because I'd been so busy with other stuff too and cramming for it. But we really do need to have a performance pass, and I'm sure we will get one here soon. But in terms of the other thing that's killing more people right now than the spinny part that you can tolerate, the part that is intolerable, is we had a bug introduced about 2 releases ago that was network connection stuff, which there's actually still some lingering stuff on the QA version right now. We're going to hopefully clean that up in the next few days. But we have a lot of issues with packets that are being sent not once a second, but every single frame. And then there's sometimes when you're in combat, you can be sending multiple packets per frame. And it piles up, and especially for anyone with a not perfect connection, like someone who is silly enough to live in a country other than America.
Or maybe even wireless, perhaps.
Or on wireless, or, just not a great connection. Then the connection, you will lose packets more often. And when you lose a packet, there's a massive problem with it basically causing this huge packet logjam until it can get a packet through, because there's some types of packets that require that one get there before the other stuff. But anyways, we are cleaning that up because we do actually care about people not in America. And it's one of those things, we hadn't seen it, and it was just kind of coming in as kind of mixed reports. But we kind of have a grasp on it now. We have a lot more metrics in thanks to our server programmer.
I've seen this in the community, people asking, I have a spinning Rusty hard drive, and I'd like to get an SSD. Does it really matter which SSD?
Not that much. Any modern generation SSD is honestly pretty good. The biggest difference it's really in terms of write durations. There's some stuff on handling small files. But
overall, it's just
overall,
getting
it's
SSD.
pretty close. Make sure, any modern SSD is pretty close. I mean, any modern one will do 500 megs a second transfer and handle, 80,000 IOPS a second or whatever. But yeah, it's just kind of the lifespan of the drive, how much it can handle writing is the only place where it really gets that different. Until you get to M2 drives, and then those are crazy fast, and then there's a lot of differences in those. But probably handle that on a case-by-case basis if people want to talk to me offline about it.
All right. Next question. Vagabond Sam wants to know, when it comes to hiding the adventure and producers level in /stats, what qualifies other numbers like strength, dex, resist, and avoid as scores that cannot also be eyeballed? It's a great question. I'm gonna hot potato that to Richard.
Oh, burn! Okay, I'll come back on camera.
Oh, quick! I better rewind in my head what you just said. What did you say?
You're supposed to be using your husband's skills where you're not really listening, but you can still remember what was said if asked.
Sorry, I blew that one. I was writing an email.
When it comes to hiding the adventure and producers levels in stats, what qualifies other numbers like strength, dex, resist, and avoid as scores that cannot also be eyeballed?
Well, first of all, theoretically, we could put that line anywhere we wanted to. We could give you all access to all stats. But first of all, I'm fundamentally a minimalist when it comes to attributes. And that's why I think that just the simple three, strength, dexterity, and intelligence are really the main ones we need to show you, and that we need you to manage towards and you build your character towards. And there, on the other end, there's some we need to keep hidden for very good reasons, I would argue, such as aspects of your virtue. That a number of people have already said, yeah, I want to compete with my friend on who's the most unethical, irresponsible, horrible person in the game, and so unless I can see the exact number, it's hard for me to brag to my friend. But to me, the reason to hide those kinds of numbers is for plot reasons. I actually believe that when you hide karma numbers, you prevent people from trying to game the system, and rather they are on whatever behavior, good, bad, or otherwise, they would be normally. If you show those numbers, then people know what things they can get away with because they're not tracked more easily than when you hide them. And so if you go from those two extremes, the ones I think you need to know to the ones I really think you can't know, there's this gulf in the middle where we, in theory, could provide you information overload and dump them all to you. But I actually think that the things that are hidden, we on our side can change the math to a little bit on our own as we want to balance the game better. They are often, frankly, somewhat arcane in the math that goes into them. It's not as mentally clean, crisp, and clear to me as my strength and my intelligence and my dexterity. I don't know how you act out dexterity. But so in any case, the line for me is keep it minimal, what we show to you. Definitely hide stuff that we don't want you to game. And the stuff in the middle, we talk about, and I'm happy to continue to discuss. But just so you know, my bias is minimal.
There's a lot of people complimenting you on your webcam and connection there in New York. They're really impressed by it.
I presume that is a sarcastic statement.
Yeah, you're getting about 2 frames a second.
Yeah.
I can see the feed over here delayed, and I agree. It's a pretty crappy feed, and oh well. Sorry about that.
Also, just on the kind of a similar opinion to Richard, my big thing is I always push people to quit thinking about the numbers, quit trying to figure out the optimal way to do things, just play the game and have fun. We all know that's not possible, but that's really where I would like people to be. So.
And I agree, and that's also, again, why that feeds right back into what I was saying about why to block it. It's because all you will do with that information is game our systems, which is not the intent.
You removed your video, right, Richard? We can't.
Yes, I did. I blocked it. Sorry to be not so shaky. I figured the smiling younger version of me was better than the shaky older version of me.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Lord Baragon asks, can we get an option to move the context menu to the middle mouse button?
So mouse buttons are tough to reassign, but really it's only the left mouse button and right mouse button that have a lot of, I'm using the word he just used, but context to them in terms of how they're used in different situations. The middle mouse button, we probably could actually make it so you could assign it to different stuff.
But can we unassign
context menus?
Well, because that's he's talking about the right click, right?
Yeah, we could probably give them away to swap buttons without a huge amount of work. If he wants to make his center mouse button his right mouse button.
Okay.
And we can do that type of stuff. It's basically we have to assign whatever's on your right mouse button. If you're going to move it, you can't move part of it. You have to move all of it.
Right. Yeah.
It's that type problem. So if he wants, we could probably make it so if he is wants to use his right or center mouse button as his right, we can do that. But again, that's one of those kind of polish and continued.
Yeah, and by the way, yes, again, even though that could be done, does not mean we should. Unless there's really a compelling reason, I already now am strongly of the opinion that while we want to provide as much customization and control as we can, we've done so much of it early that most everybody now is playing under a unique configuration of buttons, and I don't think that's good because that means nobody is testing sort of the default UI. And so before we give more variation, I want to make sure we get the base level as clean as possible, which oddly works against us if we add in too many variations too early.
All right. Frostil asks, when can we expect to see next target, which is the default to the G key, begin, close, and move outward from the avatar like it is supposed to?
So I have that code open on my screen right now. There have been enough complaints about it that I will adjust the logic for it. The logic for it is it gives a weighted value based on how close you are to directly in front of me. and then kind of moves. It uses a value of closeness. Closeness is one variable, and then the how close you are to the center of my like straight in front of me part, and then it uses some math on that. And I will adjust the math to try to get that so it picks closer stuff earlier than it picks far away stuff. But it does get into the point of it gets confusing to people when they have a guy who's in front of them and they're 6 feet away but still in good range, and you hit next target and it's picking this guy just off to your right that you can barely see, and then you hit G again and it goes to the next target that's off to the left, and then like you're sitting there and then you finally get to the guy. So that's why there's a logic. It's not as simple as just give me the distance. That's why it hasn't been that easy. But yes, we can make that. I'll take a pass on tuning that. That's never actually been tuned. But you guys complain a lot about it, so
Dude.
I could have just stopped it. You guys complain a lot. But
You wanted to say it a few times. Always blame the user. I think that's
Yes.
the first. I think that's the first rule in customer service, right? Is always blame the user. Yeah. All right.
I'm an engineer. This is how we work,
yeah,
man.
Yeah. All right. Dirk Hammerstrike asks, would it be possible to get a yes hotkey, or maybe just make it the same as E? I mean, are we talking about for conversations, or are you talking about the confirmation dialogues that come up? I'm guessing you're talking about confirmation dialogues that come up. Like, are you sure you want to do this? That I'm guessing that's what this is for. So maybe. Sure, we'll consider it. My only worry about giving a easy way to get through confirmation dialogues, in a lot of cases, the purpose of putting a confirmation dialogue up, it's preventing you from doing something dumb or preventing you from hurting doing something irrevocable, like say destroying that +10 enchanted item you just made. So I worry if we make it so it's super easy for you to confirm those things, then you'll confirm things and do irrevocable things, and then we'll get customer service tickets. So we'll think about it, but it makes me nervous. Let's see.
And hey, before you throw out another question, I just want to say for the record here, I'm showing now, my screen now is my ping time and download speed, 13 milliseconds and 100 megabits, so it ain't me.
Uh-huh. Can you click over on Gina there so we can see what Gina's frame rate is in Alaska?
Click
on Gina there as a test.
Gina looks great. You do not.
I always look great. Can't help it.
Yeah. Yeah, and Lum looks great.
Hey, Lum.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault.
I look fabulous.
Yeah. All right. Twofold Silence asks, will game windows ever remember their last position? That is a bug that has been sitting in the backlog for a long time.
Which is why we just expanded our programming team by 40%.
Yeah.
And that's already paying off in terms of them fixing bugs. They both are super familiar with Unity and hit the ground running and getting bugs fixed. So,
Hroth asked, could we allow the chat window to remain open during scene transitions? Yes, we could.
I'll write a cheer for that.
And that request has come up a few times.
I'm pretty sure we keep the whole chat connection through scene transitions. Most of the scene transition stuff is background stuff. We could have animated screens on there.
And we just did that with music. So we put the music on its own.
Yeah, but the challenge is just in how the UI is set up. That's going to be tough because the UI basically, that's one of the load time things is the UI gets torn down and recreated every time you change scenes. So lots of little things in there, but it's not trivial. Yeah, it'll probably get pushed.
Episode 10.
It's doable. It's just one of those things that would take a lot of rework of some stuff that's in there right now. I think there's some other more low-hanging fruit things that would probably add more to the game.
All right.
You heard that, folks. Episode 10.
No, probably sooner than that. That was me just being facetious. Please don't come burn the office down. Lady Morgana, when will the first footstep sound effects for different surfaces start appearing in the game?
R36. This release.
Well, I know the tech is done. I don't think Leo's got the data.
Yeah, so here's the challenge with that. The tech for it is not that difficult.
And it's done.
Yeah, and it's done. It's really a matter of associating a 2D array of like what type shoes are you wearing and what type of terrain are you walking on. The challenge is figuring out what all those terrain types are, because there's not a way, when we put stuff out there, we don't have anything on them except for a texture or two that we can pull from, try to determine what type of ground it is. And we've got hundreds of textures that we use. This is really more of a data problem. The tech is in there. We're doing it already, but it should start showing up. I think some data has now been set, so there should be some different footstep transition type stuff going on soon. In R36, actually.
Yeah, so you'll start to see a little bit of it in 36, but because the tech's done, but it'll be a lot of data hookup, so it'll take several releases for it to proliferate, which kind of ties to the next question, because it's the same kind of issue, where Rhiannon says, ocean sounds seem to appear in some places, but not everywhere, and will this be fixed? Yes, I mean, again, it's a data issue. It's, having that assigned properly in every scene. Another question from Rhiannon. Some of my guildmates are reporting better graphics and faster load times this week. Did we get some tweaks to help things move along faster and look better? We did upgrade to a newer version of Unity, so that would have changed some of the visuals and perhaps affected performance for some people.
And also, just so people know, we do have a large performance improvement in terms of the graphics performance. With Unity that we verified, it's there. It actually seems to be stable. The problem with it is it breaks a lot of lighting stuff right now. We've got an open bug with Unity, and hopefully they're going to be getting to it. But I forget the bug number, but it just has to do with how the lights affect things and how many point lights we can have, and then basically turning on and off in the mode of rendering we're using. But anyways, that's actually a pretty big performance, like a 30% type performance hit or improvement that we'll have as soon as they fix that one bug, and we can turn that back on.
All right, so that was some general performance and UI questions. Next up, we have a swath of combat and adventure questions, but maybe we should do some more prizes.
Yeah, we're throwing this on Lum pretty fast here. I don't know if you're ready, Lum.
Yeah, I'm ready. So we have $10 in store credit that goes to Leo's Templar. 10 Kodos goes to Lord Bacon. I wonder what he likes. Then we have 12 magical cycling dies, and that goes to Ravalox. I think I pronounced that correctly. And finally, a set of fairy wings goes to Tree.
Yay!
Fairy wings. I threw those in there. I saw them in the store. I was like, yay, fairy wings in the store. That's great.
All right. Mario the Great, who's very modest apparently. Can we please have at least the food buff persist through death?
So I just talked to Beezus, who's actually on the background on Lum's screen. Which one is that? That's actually the live one over there, right?
This is what they're seeing right now. Ignore Lum.
All right. I always ignore Lum.
Yeah, but you wanted to talk to this guy.
He does. He ignores me constantly.
That's what we're supposed to do.
Ignore all this.
Which is
Can
really
you guys
hard.
explain this technology?
Too many
to me?
monitors here for everybody.
I was just confused.
I added this, right, by the way. This was uploaded significantly a lot of people.
But talk to B and Beezus, and we will have some of the food buffs persist. It'll probably be based on the duration of the food buff. So, like maybe things over 30 minutes long will persist between deaths, so that you don't have like the whole like I killed the dragon and I cooked the dragon steak and then I ate the dragon steak and then I died immediately. And I lost the dragon steak. So now that there's actually some longer buffs and some more meaningful buffs that come with it, we will be making this persist through death.
I don't know how I feel about that.
You don't like that?
Mm-mm.
Really?
That's all right.
I was just thinking about it here, 2-star, but I think if you go through, blessings of the some of the big things, the Titans or the Oracle, or some of these other things, they might also be important to go through there too. But I had the same first.
I guess for something like the tier 4 and 5 foods, which are magical, I guess I can buy it because it's magical food, not just regular food. So from a realism of magic, which is always a funny thing to talk about, that it would persist through. I could buy that it would persist through death.
So you're going to argue that, just so people know, we have not talked about this. This was one of my calls.
No, we're designing on that. This is good.
It's already designed. We're discussing the design decision.
Yeah.
But my thing was, okay, you eat an apple pie, you die, I resurrect you. Why are you suddenly hungry now? Why are we wiping that food out from my apple pie?
I would think
because
you're resurrected.
Dehydrated.
You died, you fell over, I healed you, you stood back up. Why are you hungry? Does dying make you hungry?
Well, when you die, certain body functions just.
You start over, like you're like
level 1.
Well, not level 1, but I mean, again, like I think death should be. I like penalties for death. Like death is like you shouldn't want to die.
Don't talk to me about penalties for death. We all know I want the most penalties for death.
I know. That's why I'm surprised that you would.
But this is one of those that doesn't feel rewarding to you. Go and get a big pie, but now you're never going to eat it because it's really hard to get it, and then you're going to lose it. So then you never really use it in the situations you would want to use it in. Like I'm going on a raid, I'm going to make some dragon steak.
I don't know. I eat them anyway because I'm lazy, so it's easier to eat them less often.
So I'm good with the higher tier foods. I think that works. I'm good with that.
If you guys don't get this, it's your fault for bringing up this question in front of Star. This was already done, just so you know.
I don't know if we have a discussion thread in the forum yet, but they may create one and help us out on that.
Does dying make you hungry? That's the question that needs to be answered.
Yeah, I'm very hungry after I die. All right, Moko. Are there plans to add party loot mechanics to the game, like a setting anyone can loot but the loot gets distributed? Yes, this is one of the tasks that has been sitting on the backlog forever, to have party loot rules and need before greed and round robin.
Green Elf is stealing all the food.
Yeah. So you just haven't gotten to it, but yes, it is something we want to do. So, which is why we hired new programmers. Let's see. Ooh, this is a challenging name. Yourself. Now that there's skill decay on death, has there been any thoughts to hitting the skill experience pool first before actual skill loss?
It does.
Done! Congratulations.
If you have a skill set to maintain or training, when you die, the experience will come off the pool first. If you have experience in your pool. That's why, if you might recall, 2 releases ago, we made a change where your less experience was applied per skill use, which was actually to increase the amount of experience people had in their pool, the release before we turned on decay, so we could then turn on decay and people would see less pain and suffering on their first death, where they go in and all of a sudden a bunch of skills de-level because they didn't have things set right. But anyways, from what I heard, a lot of people did de-level because they didn't know to set it to maintain or train, because we are bad at communicating. But yes, it does come off your pool if you have experience in your pool.
Okay.
Easy.
Congratulations. Mischievous Dragon asks, are we going to add more encounter scenes for the Roving Encounters? Yes. It's just not right now because we wanted to get town sieges in, and folks who would be working on those are right now working on the town siege stuff. But the plan is, after we do some work on town sieges and fixing up some control point issues, once we get those 2 things done, we're going to circle back and add more stuff to Roving Encounters. The big things that we want to do for big additions we want to do for Roving Encounters are getting the dragon in, and we also want to get right now. We don't have the ability to. Right now, the roving encounters are limited to all hostile roving encounters, and we don't have the ability to have neutral or friendly encounters. That's why, things like the stag attacks you, which the stag should not attack you. And we can't do things like the Wandering Merchant or the Gypsy Wagon or things like that yet. So we don't have friendly roving encounters or neutral ones. So.
And also, in terms of adding in new roving encounters, I'm going to attempt to sneak one in this release, which Richard has approved. We have not told Star about it, and it's a secret.
Don't tell him.
Today is lockdown, right?
What? Oh, well, that doesn't apply to me.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Wait, I didn't hear anything. Did you hear anything?
All right.
Jeanette?
So I'm glad this is recorded because I'm gonna get to lawyer Chris next week when he yells at me about us having to do a patch.
Well, we're going to do patches anyways.
I know, but when you yell at me about them, which I'm going to be able to rewind and go and that this. All right, sweet.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
That's what I tell the team.
What's our whole Seinfeld joke about? We know how to say we're going to do lockdown, we just don't know how to actually do lockdown. So here we go. All right. Let's see. Gray Mouser Sky asks, can we test out collision in PvE combat before launch?
Why didn't this one get a line drawn through it?
Because it's just going to come up again. Even just on a QA build, there's.
Well, we've answered it before. It's going to come up every release, every time. And then Richard's going to side with them.
So how about this? Yes, for offline mode. Hey, yeah, offline mode.
The challenge,
Offline
there's
mode.
a number of really tough challenges. It creates a lot of super exploitable moments, which in offline mode would probably be okay. We don't care if people exploit or cheat in offline.
Right, which is why like single player RPGs do great.
So I think most people know there's collision turned on for PvP right now. For PvE, the challenge is not just the exploitable situations, but also the AI needs to be able to handle that. And that is a whole nother set of AI of how to deal with a rapidly moving object that's blocking me in the scene. I want to get to the mage behind you, and you keep getting in my way, and what do I do about it?
By the way, I still think you guys need to turn this on at least for QA or something, just because, you guys always keep saying how this can be exploited, but we've always also said that you can move slowly through anything by just switching to walk instead of your default /run.
So we already have that. So we can have players be blocked by creatures. That part is not the difficult part. The difficult part is having creatures that are blocked by players, which is what they really want it for, is because they want it for strategy. So they can have two guys stand in the hallway and block something from going past them to get to the archer or mage behind them.
But the monster or the archer or whatever else should by default try to go around, but if they want to, they can push through it and walk speed also.
And that's where we start getting into the much more difficult AI challenges.
Well, then start it by now by just having it blocked. So why is it such a big deal that if two people literally spend their time standing in a hallway, that they can't block the archer from passing between them to go to the other side? Why is that a problem?
Let's not argue in front of the kids. We've had this discussion before. And this is also, there have been several games that have tried this, and all have removed it almost immediately.
I know that's the argument you always go back to.
I know. There's a reason for that.
The problem with that argument is it's not true for all games, including Ultima Online.
Can I go get popcorn?
That's
So the reason it's not in there is because there's a disagreement internally.
Yeah.
That still, it will be very challenging and just open up exploits. Sure, we could probably turn it on for QA, but again, the creatures will not obey it, will not respect the actual movement, or if they do, it'll be even more exploitable than if you could fully block them. But they won't know to move slowly.
I mean, it will be instant.
Next question.
It will be an instant way to grant people lots of experience. So why don't we just shortcut it and give people lots of experience and level them up? Anyway, let's see. Vagabond Sam asks, how does the dev team feel about iconic creatures like the dragon and phoenix being overcome by solo outlanders?
My prediction is they will not be in R36. We haven't talked about it much, but if you see this is not actually Chris. See, hold on, let me stand up so you can see. I actually have a sash on here. See my sash? This is evil Chris. Old people will understand the references. So kind of a trope now, but
Yeah.
I think people in the office were also saying that I might be closer to evil Cartman in terms of looking.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, so you imagine
I'm not
you
sure.
look like Evil Spot, but you really look more like Evil Cartman. But that's funny.
But yeah, so this release is going to be, there's a lot of things that are changing that are going to be making the game a lot harder, especially for the people who are doing the able to solo things, because as I've mentioned, probably for 5 or 6 releases now.
Well, harder at the top end.
Harder at the top end. The lower end will not be harder. Harder at the top end primarily for people who are just relying 100% on magic, which is the people who are able to solo things were hardly even attacking generally. Like with physical attacks, it was all about the magic because magic had no resistances, and this is the release where resistances come online. So there'll be a lot of creatures that have resistances, and if you're the type person where you have exactly one tree and you expect to be able to kill everything in the game, you are probably going to start avoiding some creature types. Because different creatures have strengths and weaknesses in terms of resistances, which players will probably quickly identify the best way to handle them. So hopefully you have you can spread out a little bit or diversify a little bit. So, but also there's a number of exploits being fixed. I think some of those actually got hot fixed in. But as we continue to try to get the game down to a balanced level where, players are earning in the range of experience we expect them to earn. Players can't solo dragons and demons. Players can't take the entire challenge dungeon solo by themselves as speed runs. But anyways, yes, the iconic creatures hopefully will be more iconic or feel more iconic after this. The problem is that I know I've already warned everybody that everybody's going to be screaming for my head and sending emails to Richard telling him to fire me because the game will be getting much harder this release, which will make some people feel less powerful, which no one likes. But for the long-term, functionality of the game, it has to happen. So.
Yeah, and I concur. By the way, I do concur with that. As people know that have been
on firing me.
No. That the beginning of the game is frankly too hard, very, very beginning. But then once you get to the higher level creatures and the differentiated creatures of archers and mages and stuff, then there's some real balance issues that we've been both working on, and I think we agree across the board.
And also, it's one of those things that's come up a lot that there's a handful of players. I see a couple of them here in chat actually, who have just because the game has been so easy and they've been farming like mad and min-maxing the heck out of every experience and seeing that they have a significant experience advantage. That's also where the decay comes in. Over time, they will come back down. They will, hit their peak, and players will be able to catch up to them. Decay this release in terms of, let me do my evil Chris. Decay this release will also be going up again in terms of the max accumulated amount, so you'll take a little more decay hit. So anyways, evil Chris.
Yeah. Off with his head.
There's also a few other changes that are going in that I'm going to write up a big long post hopefully for tomorrow for Star. We can post in the forums to explain why I'm making everyone hate me.
Okay. Or hate you more.
Hate me more.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's see. And just so we're going to keep working through the questions, but just an assurance, I'm going to keep up the new policy. Started a couple of postmortems ago that Chris and I, mainly me, but I'll get whenever I can answer a question, I always get Chris to help me. We're gonna after the postmortem. It's probably not going to be till tomorrow, but definitely before the weekend, I'll make a post where I'll answer the rest of the questions that we didn't get to today, because we're not even done getting through all the questions that were posted on the post, and I know we have questions that have come up in chat too. Let's see. Twofold Silence asks, when will points of interest in adventure maps become actual points of interest, i.e. I enter an adventure map, begin exploring it, I find the den of a local pack of wolves, and it's actually a new map using cave terrain. I guess what he's asking is that the points of interest are actually separate maps and not just a part of an existing map. It's an interesting question. Right now, with scene loads like they are, we don't really want to be adding more scene loads. We'd rather just integrate them with the existing scene, and we don't actually want to be adding more scenes for us to have to build. So probably not anytime soon with that exact solution. With that said, you are going to see us start shifting focus to uncloning adventure scenes, not just uncloning town scenes. So you'll see more polish going into the adventure scenes, not just town scenes. And this next question, I'm not sure I quite understand. Again, from Twofold Silence asks, are we going to get more dungeons like the Ultima series had?
Yes.
Yeah, there were a couple of questions from the community on this, just basically asking for, can we have more dungeons?
So, yes.
Keep asking.
So, getting more dungeons, yes. I'm not sure what the Ultima series had part means. Do you have a guess?
Yes, and I think the answer is yes too. So we are working through those. We'll get there. We occasionally have had to push forward and other things like towns took over when we were building all you guys the towns you wanted, and now we're back to adventure scenes, and then we'll get back to dungeons too. So it'll come.
Yeah, it is true that there are way more surface scenes than there are underground adventure scenes, and so we do understand that there is a gross imbalance between surface scenes versus underground scenes for adventuring. So we do need to get a better balance there. Cray Lantra asks, are there any plans for additional attack skills that use our avatar's feet? So kicking attacks.
Foot fetish.
Foot fetish.
Coming soon.
Maybe. Not short term, but eventually, yeah. I mean, we plan to add more combat skills and combos all the time. So eventually, yes. Dax Diggler. You gonna say something?
I was just going to make a joke about how we'll have a samurai expansion pack coming out soon, and
Pirates and Ninjas and
Pirates and Ninjas.
Yeah. All right. Dax Diggler asks, can you give us any clues or details on the Kabbalists and the sieges that are planned to be appearing soon? So let me talk briefly about sieges, and then I'll let Richard chime in, add a little bit more about the Kabbalists. So there's actually a post in Dev Plus, which will be in the update for everybody else tomorrow about town sieges. So we hope to have a first iteration of town sieges going in R37 in December. And the way town sieges will work is that periodically, with alignments of the celestial bodies, one of the Kabbalists will lay siege to a town, and what that means is when you attempt to go into a town that's under siege, you'll actually go to the enemy encampment where they are laying siege to that town, which is a new scene. There'll be these siege map scenes, and it's basically the enemy encampment, which is where they have siege weapons that are attacking the town, and there's a pitched battle between the enemy and the defenders of the town. And this is all on the road leading up to the town, so it's not actually in the town itself. So the town itself, the battle isn't happening there. This is a separate scene. And when you first come to the scene, you have a choice where you can join the battle, or you can sort of work your way around the outskirts of the battle. You might encounter like a patrol, but that patrol is usually going to be very low level. So low level players, or players who really just want to, get to get to that town, have a choice that they can just sort of work their way around. Or if you want, you can participate in the battle, and you can, if you take out the siege weapons, then the Kabbalist, who is basically running the siege, and he's it'll be a big boss fight that they're destroying those siege weapons triggers him appearing, and then if you defeat him, that will end the siege. Otherwise, the siege will just end over a certain amount of time. And you'll know a town is under siege because on the overworld, you'll see a catapult next to the town.
And I actually think this will be one of those things that people get together and talk about, and siege and wherever, so that they can all go together and end the siege as a fun type event.
And
Yeah.
of course, those of you with astrolabes will be able to predict the sieges and know where to go to look for them, because the movement of the planets through the sky, the movement of those planets in front of the virtue constellations, is going to give you an indication of which Kabbalists will be in what areas, and the Kabbalists that will be present. These are sort of anti-Avatar wraith-like creatures that are kind of leading this uprising, and ultimately theirs is the siege that you're gonna have to break. And this is also part of the storyline, by the way, as to why they're laying siege, why they're laying siege in this pattern, and what the purpose of that is. And so this is now up for you to not only clear the sieges. I mean, the siege, when Star said the siege will clear in a time, that's when the planetary alignment changes. So the sieges will stick around for fairly good lengths of time unless the players break it or the planets move on out of the constellation. That should, we're at least, I at least reviewed my first siege map today. So coming soon.
And do we have a time when the first one's going to be in? It's going to make R37.
R37. It looks pretty good. So we've got the map built, and we'll show pictures. We'll show shots of that tomorrow in the update. It's already you can already see shots of it in Dev Plus. We have some of the tech is written. We'll finish up the tech or the first iteration of the tech next release, and we'll have parts of the battle working. How much of the taking out the weapons and then bringing the Kabbalist in, we're not sure how much of that we'll have, but we'll have the triggering of the map and fighting a little bit of battle. We're not sure if we'll be able to get the Kabbalist in the scene and all that part of it. And long term, we also want to have things like each Kabbalist is going to have things like a unique piece of gear that you'll be able to use to get molds off of for the crafting system. Basically, it's going to be skins for the crafting system to get unique visuals for armor and weapons. So like a unique sword, a unique looking sword, or a unique looking piece of armor. All right. But that's not going to, that part won't be ready for 37. But, the art for the Kabbalists themselves probably won't be ready in 37. So we'll just, for now, the Kabbalists would be represented by like a Lich boss. But let's see, Hroth asks, how long in game do we have to react to the new reactive skills like etheric feedback?
So those right now, I believe, are 1.5 seconds. I've been getting some feedback that people are old and slow and they want more time to respond to them. I think the issue is really not more that they are old and slow, but a lot of times you're getting, you're in the middle of doing something when you see the critical hit, or somebody gets a critical hit on you, because it's not always just you getting the critical hit, and you need more time so that you can have whatever you're doing finish and then start the, casting it. So. But yeah, it's 1.5 seconds was the current time, but I will probably extend that to 2.5 seconds to help people out.
Okay. Nemesis asks, will the wolves ever stop running away? They seem a bit cowardly.
I'm a wolf guy here. I like to represent the wolves in the game with my shirts, like my 50 wolf shirts that I rotate every day in the office. And I don't know, are they cowardly? I don't know.
By the way, I'd like to weigh in on this one because I'm the one that requested it. So, one of the things that I'm big on is trying to make sure that the world responds in a both complex and interesting way, and when it is more fun, responds in a somewhat realistic way. And at least is my opinion that just like now, as is appropriate, creatures like deer and bunny rabbits, the prey animals generally run away from you unless cornered or you need to fight in some way. But even the predators, I think it's more interesting to have them react as predators do. I mean, if you can safely walk through the woods full of coyotes, wolves, and bears if you make plenty of noise and don't get between them and their food or their young ones. And so
I can verify that.
So I actually thought it was not correct to have all of these non-evil wild animals attack you, because of course the evil things have it in for all you good folk, but the animals that are normally would only pick a fight when they're hungry shouldn't just be auto killing you. And so I don't remember exactly what the ratio is. I think it feels to me I was just killing a lot of wolves today, or in a lot of roundabout wolves today. Seems to be about 50-50. It might be at 25-75, but it's somewhere in that range. We could adjust that range if people feel it's important, but I actually have been enjoying walking up on wolves, not knowing which ones might or might not come after me, seeing a couple of them take off and go kill the rabbit instead. It makes me very happy because then I can continue on. So if you just are out for wolf pelts, like in the real world, they're not going to hang around and let you kill them. They're going to run away. You got to chase them down, catch them in the Boxing Canyon if you need it.
And also in future releases of expanding Richard's realistic creature AI, the bears in R37 will start digging through the trash in your behind your house, and the stags will run in front of you while you're driving on the highway with coconuts, and the rabbits will.
Coconuts, okay. Wait, which highway is this?
No, and the rabbits are going to eat. They're going to eat carrots
right.
out of your garden too,
The
right?
rabbits will eat carrots out of your garden
And multiply terribly.
and always crap on your front doorstep.
Yeah. All right, but it's those they're the little tiny
Little
nuggets, so
pebbles, yeah.
like it's not like a dog. All right. All right. So, should we do some prizes from Lum the Irritated?
Yeah, Lum, I'm going to make a reminder to everybody. Please, you got to be in Discord, obviously. We only pick from those in Discord. I know that we're streaming this on Twitch right now. But if you're in Discord, also please use your in-game character name so that we can find you. Otherwise, we have if you just come up with something that's totally different than any other name you use in the game or related to the community, we'll not be able to find you and give you your prize.
Speaking of prizes, this time around we have $10 in store credit going to Mark Huntington, 10 Kodos going to Fluffy Tuff, and a set of ornate spider legs going to Steora Wolf. Speaking of wolves. And that's your prize going around this time.
There we go. Thank you, Lum. Congrats, everybody. That will, well, we're already at 4:30, probably be our last prize round for this postmortem. But we have, just as a quick reminder, the Telethon coming up in just a few short weeks with some more exciting stuff that we'll be announcing soon on that.
Yes. So 18 days, I think.
Yeah,
So-
on Cyber Monday, right after Thanksgiving holiday.
Yeah. So November 28th, Cyber Monday. So please join us. It'll be 12 hours again of fun and shenanigans. And unlike the strictly business that we're doing right now, it'll be some silliness. So you can enjoy because we'll have 12 hours.
Well,
so it can
we're
be silly.
serious, right?
Yeah, we're totally serious.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So please join us for that, and that will also be the last day that you'll be able to do house stacking with the bundles, and then some other things that are expiring, like all the spooky content. A bunch of that's expiring. Some of the Adobe houses, etc. You can see the full list on the website. I'm actually going to pull a question from Discord that I saw Browncoat Jason post because it ties to the town sieges we were just talking about. He asks, are the Kabbalists specific individuals, named recurring enemies, or are they just random agents of the big bad? And if they are specific, can we hear some names? They are specific individuals, and I'll let Richard chime in here quickly. Can I say one of their names, Richard?
If you know one.
Nefario, isn't that one of their names?
You are correct.
Do we want to give away any other names, or do we want to leave that mysterious?
Keep it mysterious, because the only reason those haven't been mentioned is because I've noodled on the sheet a few times, and so until we've built them and have their facial icons and things settled, their name could change if it helped make the art resonate better. So the names aren't public yet till we have their models built.
All right, so they are, to sum up again, they are very specific individuals. They have names, and long term, not only that, they will have very specific play styles when you fight them, and specific effects that they have on the players and the other good NPCs. Since you'll be part of a pitch battle, it won't just be you fighting. Chris reminded me.
And Blair's reminded me
that we should talk about SotACon briefly. We just came back from that this weekend. Barrick and myself and Lord British, along with about 50 of our backers, attended in Baltimore, and it was amazing. It was a really great time. There's a couple of posts in the forums describing the experience. I think that for me, one of the great things about it that Violation had done was in the setup for the rooms where we did the presentations, he took away the table at the front and just had us, the developers, kind of basically sit with you, the backers. So it was a very informal, and we had a lot of time for each of the presentations. I mean, I don't think any presentation was shorter than an hour and a half.
We even added one just because the community and Richard started talking about a certain topic, and hey, let's just create, let's expand this.
Yeah, and so the presentations really weren't just presentations. They were really constant sort of Q&A conversation, and we really let each session kind of go in its own direction and let us follow topics as they came up as we were presenting them. It was really great to, a lot of the people I had met before, but there were a lot of new faces that I had not met before. Everyone was like really, really supportive of the product, while offering critique of like how we could make it better. I find the events like that very recharging for me, and it was great. And we're going to have another event in October of next year here in Austin, and so we're going to be talking about details of that, I think, next week.
Mm-hmm.
I think we even have a date locked down.
It's not. We have an idea for a date, but nothing specific.
Yeah, and so it was great. I don't know if you or Richard want to add anything.
I'd like to say that meeting the community face to face is empowering. It really drives us to push forward with this game and do what we can for you, because we get that. If you can ever attend these events, it's a very positive experience for you guys too, just to meet the developers, but to provide your feedback. And we listened to everybody while we were at SotACon. We had this group roundtable like discussion with everyone and listened to their feedback. And also I'd have to say one of the most exciting things for me being a community manager is listening to the discussion of other community members who were not able to attend the event. So we had discussions about different player-owned towns and other guilds and really cool things that you guys are doing in the community to drive events, those that we put up on our community events calendar on the main website that we talk about in the weekly updates. And we've mentioned those during SotACon. The community, the attendees mentioned those to me and mentioned other community members on their great work. And so even if you weren't able to attend, if you're doing things in the community, that was talked about, that was noticed, and there was so much excitement for that, to create more events and to drive the community to interact with each other and find new ways to do that, especially for new players, to bring them in as well. And we had actually a couple new players that have been relatively new to the game attend SotACon. So it doesn't matter, you don't have to be an elite, experienced 3-year member of the community to attend these events. Anybody can attend these events, and that's what's so cool, to see that group come together. And we're going to do it again next year.
Richard?
Pardon? Yeah, so obviously I agree, you guys did a pretty good job of wrapping it up, but my congrats really, or repeating some of what you said, Star, is to Joe and the rest of the folks who put it on. What a blast it was. Going out also as a group to medieval times and having you, Dark Star, try to go lecture one of the actors as to don't make sure not to let the bad guy escape. Getting a big photo of all of us in costume at such a place. The fact that we're now giving out the community cloaks to real world gatherings. I think that's something you guys didn't mention that I think is really important is, something I said while we were there is I believe that online a gathering of true friends in an online environment is actually a very societally positive thing that helps counteract the modern commuting society we live in, where we get physically farther and farther from like-interested people and more ignoring of our physical needs. We really don't have any common, where they're sort of randomly connected versus connected by common interest or a common need. And so even though we have created this virtual community, getting that community physically together is very, very powerful for us. Anybody who's there present, it's powerful for each of us to have that experience, but also as we need to go back and continue our virtual connections, it deepens and solidifies those relationships. And so we want to support that, not only by showing up as often as we can to these sorts of things, but also by giving these community cloaks that let people wear them and say, look, I not only have played this game virtually, but I've had a chance to meet with other players in the physical real world as well. So we are bonded through all routes possible. And so anyway, I just found it very exciting, and I'm looking forward to, I guess the next one for me for sure is the Dragons, the 25th anniversary of the Ultimate Dragons at Disneyland. I'll be there. Hope you will be too.
All right. Let's see. Moving on to last set of questions. And again, I am going to answer any that we missed, and I'll do a forum post tomorrow. Roystein Kaelstrom asks, could we get rid of the plant watering confirmation? Many people are very sure they want to water their plants. Yes, we should get rid of that. I made a note of that. This request has come up more than once. I think the reason we had that before, it was pretty important before because you had to pay. The only way to get water was to buy it. And so we didn't want you to accidentally water something more than once. And because the only way you could get a bucket of water was to pay for it. And if you were paying gold, that was a big deal. But now that you can harvest water, it's probably not as important to have a confirmation there. So we can remove that confirmation, or one of Richard's favorite, maybe we can add that as another option. Because the Lord knows we need more options in the
No more options, but I'll put a JIRA in for you about reviewing the water, doing it now.
Okay, thank you. All right. Let's see. Muggly Wumple says, eating more than one item currently stacks buffs, kinda. What are the plans for eating more than one thing?
So right now you can have 2 food buffs active at any given time.
And and the way I think it determines in out is, I think it's based on time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you eat something that has a longer duration, that overrides something that has a shorter duration. That's how it determines which 2 you can have. So, and from a balance standpoint, that's what we currently are going with. But
so there's a couple of changes coming up. We'll see if I guess today's the lockdown. I'm not going to sneak one of them in. But there's a change to how we can say what effects block other effects. This was needed because there's a lot of different skills and spells and things that, like, this one and this one shouldn't work together, or like this last release we had the shield spells where one overwrites the other. But the system we had in place was way too simple to do all the stuff we needed. So we might take another pass on food stuff and change up how that works now that we have a better system in place. And we can also control things like previously we could say either something could stack or couldn't stack. That was it. We had a binary, but now we can do things like this is the evil Chris thing. We can do things like limit the number of effects on you. So we can say you can have a max of 5 fire effects on you, for instance. So when people, that's one of the things right now is basically people get together in a group of 8 people and stack hundreds of effects on things, which actually is crazy bad for performance. In addition to it stacking like crazy hundreds of buffs on or fire dots onto things. So we can set limits on how many of those they can have now. But anyways, just bring that up because one, I'm evil. And two, it also applies to food, and we have more flexibility going forward, although I don't think any of the changes have made it in for this release yet, for the food at least.
I don't know, as long as mine grows here, I don't know if I could ever be evil. Let's put it to a vote in the community. Can I be evil if I keep this thing growing? We'll see at the Telethon when it's like a full month.
Pretty sure they already think you're evil. I mean, your
Never.
job is to moderate them. So
It's moderating is good and bad. It's not all bad.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. Do you have the? Do you know me watch?
Yeah. Speaking of evil.
Speaking of evil, someone asked in Discord. Wait, hold on. Let me find who it was. Oh man, I gotta find who it was. They wanted to know who has killed the most watchers.
I see one in here that is in the chat, I know.
And so we had Chris look it up.
So the most evil person, or the person who hates the watchers the most, I'm surprised I'm not on this list because I kill him anytime I see him. Number 1, it's a very close one. It was 81 versus 80 for number 1 and 2. Number 1 was Nink Umpoop.
What? Is that a name?
Nink Umpoop.
Oh, very clever.
Nice.
Very clever name. I get it.
Number 2
I
was
see what you did there.
Robert Kragmir, followed distant.
So what is the number of the kills in this top echelon?
Only 81. Yeah, killed 81 in the past 30 days. I did a search for the last 30 days. So
30 days. 81. So yeah. So by the way,
30 days. I will point out just because I think let's see, it's Ian Smellos, Sothic, Ultimus, Zithro, Sweathog, and then rounding out the top 7 is Droxus Fondalor to whatever. GDF. Droxus.
Yeah.
You know who he is.
Yeah.
and I am here just to warn all of you, no
27
gooder.
kills for Droxus.
So just watch out. The Oracle's not going to take kindly to this kind of abuse. Your comeuppance day will come.
Thank you, Madmon, for asking that question. That was Madmon's question from Discord. All right. Hero asks, when damage resistant debuffs are applied multiple times on someone, does the damage resistance stop at 0 or will drop to negative values if stacked high enough? Or does that even matter anymore now that we're changing everything?
No, it matters now. I believe it does stop at 0. I honestly am not 100% sure on that. I need to go check and see. But yeah, there's some things that just have a 0 to start with. So, but I'm pretty sure that one actually starts at 0 or stops at 0. So you can't get anybody below 0. You can get them to 0, but not below 0. So they won't take damage, extra damage for having negative.
All right. Let's see. Now we're going to take a series of questions about NPCs and stories and quests and stuff. Lord Andronut asks, can we please talk about the upcoming changes to the NPC Convo system and where we're pulling our influences from for the changes? So the biggest thing we want to do is pull the conversation with NPCs at least visually out of the chat window. So it's not, and it's more in the center of the screen, and make the chat window more about what you use for conversation with other players, and make conversation with the NPCs more like you would see in other RPGs, like the Bethesda games, like BioWare games, etc. So that's where we're looking for inspiration. So that's a very high level, but it's more and more about having that text appear, outside of the chat window. Let's see. Elfin Wan, will we add further features to support epic co-op requests. Yes, including some like puzzle mechanics that we're going to be working on for. I guess we've
can talk about that.
We've written in stand-up notes, but so the name of Buccaneer's Den was part of Ultima, so we can't really use that name. So
Don't want to.
So it's Blood Bay is the name of the new island that we're building. It's going to be cool. It's going to be an atoll, so it's going to be a big circle with a volcano in the middle.
So technically, it's actually a big C-shaped island space with the raised edges are actually raised. The C part of it, like those parts are raised quite a bit because in the middle of the circle is actually a massive shard strike. And the actual raised part is from the shockwave created from the massive shard strike in the middle. The massive shard strike also broke through the crust, and there's actually quite a bit of lava flow and kind of a mini volcano that's formed out there around the shard. And it's called Blood Bay because the bay is actually toxic and boiling hot from all the lava flowing into it as well.
Yeah.
So quite a bit more dangerous scene. There's quite a few new pieces of tech that are planned to go in for that, and we're kind of using that as an experimental tech type place. The scene may go live sooner than it's actually fully functional, just so players can go explore it. But it may just at that point seem like a normal scene, and then the extra features will come on in time.
Yeah, but all right. Elork asks, will we ever be able to tame dragons? The big giant ones that you currently fight as bosses, probably no, never. However, what we have talked about is having smaller ones, like wyverns or drakes that are more reasonably sized, that you could possibly tame. So dragon-like creatures that wouldn't that would work in more scenes. I mean, the biggest issue of having something as big as a dragon
Doesn't fit in your house.
Well, it wouldn't fit anywhere. I mean, like if you'll note that the dragons currently only are in very, very specific scenes, but we could make a scaled down version that would be tameable, that would work in various scenes. More scenes than big open flat spaces.
Maybe a sleeping dragon. It's always sleeping in the hill or something.
Because that would be fun, having a dragon that's always sleeping. All right. Cray Lantra asks, will we see a greater variety of undead, such as undead wolves and trolls? Yes. Let's see. Yobtar, which I guess is Rat Boy backwards.
Very good.
See what you did there. Will there ever be a Kobold Koto merchant to buy some of the Kobold stuff using Kotos? This actually, I saw this, and I saw someone else post this in the forums. I think Lord Internet posted this in the forums today too. And it was one of those things of like, oh, duh. Like we did the Elven and the Viking crown merchants, and I don't know why we didn't also do the Kobold crown merchant. It was like just a complete oversight. It's too late to get that done for 36, but 37 we're absolutely going to have a Kobold crown merchant in the game that you can use your crowns to buy Kobold stuff. So sorry about that oversight, but it was complete duh. Let's see. Cypher Black asks, will we ever be able to allow to add pets to run around free in a pot, not tied to a specific lot?
Leash laws can't do it.
Yeah, no, sorry, leash laws.
Sleeping dragon.
Yeah, sleeping dragon. This we actually do want something like this, especially when we get animal husbandry and for livestock and things like this. Part of what's holding us back right now is optimizations. AI is expensive. When we get more optimizations in place, we absolutely want to support something like this. So eventually, we just need more optimizations. So Chris needs to just yell at me some more so I get a
It's his fault.
Yeah, it is my fault. I just need to schedule a release where the programmers don't add any features and they just work on optimizations. So
Just a few more features. We're almost there.
All right. Baron Drokus asks, can we please get some non-alcoholic drink recipes? Hot chocolate, please. Sure.
It said please twice. That was very nice.
He did say please twice. Let's see. Gravity asked.
By the way, there are in the food design document. There are other things like tea and coffee and other things, but we're waiting to do them all for when we do the harvestable plant all at the same time. So they kind of come on with loops of creativity of the, planting, harvesting, and refining and creating a finished good.
Let's see. Gravity says, what are the plans for supporting the dedicated crafter playstyle? It feels like more and more of my crafting time is spent in combat. Any chance we'll see, quote, crafting scenes? This is the we can't have nice things chance.
Risk versus reward.
Which is, whenever we put any resources that are not contested, they rapidly get exploited and farmed to the point of imbalance for the game economy. And so we have to put resources in where they are guarded and they're so I would love to be able to have resources that were available for people like yourself that
Let me give you a different way to look at that though too, which is some resources are in contested areas, but other things you actually can get the seeds and go plant and grow them yourself. And so there's actually a blend of them, and I think it's a pretty good blend, and we'll keep adjusting that blend. But for example, if you want a wolf pelt, somebody has to go kill a wolf, and therefore somebody's going to take that risk. And if you don't want to do it, or you don't want to get the spider carapace or whatever it might be, then you go buy one from a retailer, so to speak. But I suppose if there's a middle ground to be had, it would be things you can't grab at home and aren't an animal part, like crystal gems, and that fits into the category you've just said, which is we can't leave gems laying around, or there's suddenly an infinite number of gems for everybody. And so a gem resource node has to be guarded, and that's so either pick up a storage yourself, hire for some protection, or buy at the store.
Yeah. Let's see. Belladonna Rose says she's noticing a lot of recipes no longer existing. Why was there a need to remove them? Example, fishing poles. Was there really a need to remove it? So that's the only example given. I'm not sure what other recipes that she's referring to. In the specific example of fishing poles count as a tool, and from a balancing perspective, we're not currently allowing the crafting of tools because of the way they work with engraving and the bonuses associated with them. And fishing poles count as tools, so that's why in that particular case, that single recipe was removed. But without examples of other ones, I can't provide a blanket statement. I mean, there's a specific reason why each one is removed in particular. So, again, if you want to give me specific questions, I can answer for specific ones. So
it's not for teachable recipes or any of that stuff.
Well, no, because that would have only been this release, and this question was given now. So, I mean, that is enough, but that is a good reminder. So one thing that's going to be happening in this release is teachable recipes are coming online, which means that it represents a big change in the way you get recipes and you share recipes, including the way discoverability will work now. And as a long-term effort, so right now with discoverability, basically anybody can, once they have a sufficiently high enough crafting, anybody can make anything over time. What we want to start getting to the point of is that recipes become their own commodity as well. And so we're removing, so discoverability will still remain, but discoverability is only going to start working on the lowest level of recipes. And same with teachability. Teachability and reteachability is only going to work on the lowest level of recipes, and mid-level recipes will be teachable but not reteachable. Some recipes will remain purchasable from NPCs, but some recipes will no longer be purchasable from NPCs. They'll only be found as loot or on quests. And then some recipes won't be teachable nor reteachable. So for instance, bone armor is going to change to it won't be teachable nor reteachable, and it's only going to be found as a quest item. Now, we're not going to remove any recipes anyone already has, but we are going to start making it so that having recipes is a part of being a crafter and part of the, part of your selling point of being a crafter is that I've got these specific recipes and I've worked to get them. So there you go.
Yoktar in Discord asks, did we announce the winners of the contest? Yes, we did. You can review the tape, but I'll make it easy for you. After this postmortem, we're going to put them up on the website and mention it on social, and you'll see a complete list there.
All right. And so just so Chris isn't the only person to be hated in this Hangout, I'm going to answer Roystein Kalestrom's question. Are we getting the beer brewery for sure this coming release? And just so you won't be the only hated person, unfortunately, no, alcohol is delayed again. So
I drink
people
it all.
are making it, are drinking the alcohol.
yeah, so sorry. Let's see, we'll do about 4 or 5 more questions and then we will call it. Let's see, Cray Lantra says, with regards to alchemy, are there plans for different quality levels of potions and or greater variety of potions, such as smoke potions to blind or oily potions to slow? Yes. Let's see, Browncoat Jason says, for crafting, would you consider changing masterwork or enchanting failure from instant to destroy to instead damaging the item?
Yeah, as long as it damaged the master amount. Not the master, the
maximum durability.
The maximum amount.
Yeah, I mean that's we could add a die roll. That's an interesting suggestion. We could add a die roll to say instead of. Actually, that's an interesting suggestion because that ties to another idea I had, which is at super high levels of masterwork and enchanting. One of the ideas we had was one of the things you could get as an option is to add back durability. And so if one of the failure cases that could be a die roll could be that a reduction to maximum durability, that might complement this other idea we had, which is getting at a high level an option to add back maximum durability as an option at very high levels of in masterwork or enchanting.
I think Umari's having a stroke over here in the chat room right now, so I should probably say something. Yeah. So I'll make...
Do not do it.
Half the players hate me and half the players like me. This release, we did change how Kodo repairs work on things to make it so they have a maximum number of repairs. It's actually the way we ended up doing it was when you spend 1 Kodo to repair something, it repairs it to 100% max durability. It's actually going to be the first time you repair things, it'll do 100. Then the next time it'll do, I think it's about 65, and then it goes to about 50. But anyways, it keeps repairing less and less until hopefully at some point you throw the item away and go back to crafters. I think the most you can possibly repair stuff is about maybe 5 to 7 times total. And we would thank you if you repaired something 7 times total, because it would be a lot of Kodos. Really expecting it to be more like people who repair things 2 or 3 times now rather than the infinite number of times they could. So crafters rejoice, adventurers grab a tissue and send your hate mails to Richard and tell him to fire me. Evil Chris. Good Chris is back in his office working hard.
Hey, I'll follow those letters.
All right. All right, let's see. Night Owl 57. What is the future of the ring mold currently still available at all NPC crafting merchants? That is a great question, which I will have to ask Beezus about. So I don't have an answer for, so that will be in part of my post. And Night Owl asks, why are pecan nuts a rare drop? Because we don't have a pecan tree yet for you for agriculture. That's why.
Good excuse.
So when you get a pecan tree, they won't be.
Pecans take
But
a
I'm
lot.
making a note for pecan tree for agriculture.
Apparently nut trees take a huge amount of water. I don't know if we're going to do that in the game. But
They do take a huge amount of water. Let's see.
Destroying California is what I hear.
Night Owl 57. Could we have an additional cooking oil recipe in the near future that uses the butchering byproduct of animal fats? Cool suggestion.
Nemesis 2 says a pecan tree is a hickory tree, people. So I don't know if we're supposed to be calling it hickory, if that's accurate or not.
It is of the hickory family,
Hickory
but it
family.
is actually it's still called a pecan tree. I have 3 of them in
Are
my
you sure it's
yard.
pecan tree, not pecan tree? Pecan?
No, it's pecan.
Uh-oh.
Pecan?
Trust me, it's pecan.
Pecan?
Okay. Trust me, it's pecan. I grew up in Louisiana. It's pecan.
In Louisiana.
Yeah.
Yep, Budner says correct. Pecan. Or
All right.
pecan. Uh-oh, never mind.
Okay. All right, making a note about the alternates from animal fats. Okay. All right. Let's see. Eagle asks, can we get prosperity crafting stations that can level? Like the more items we make, the more durability the items made.
We still have it in the backlog of the make items have memories to them and know what they did. That sounds like something fall into that category, but
Yeah.
probably not in the foreseeable next few releases for sure.
Yeah.
But it is a good idea.
It is a cool idea. So, with that said, great questions. I'm sorry, there are a ton more questions, especially from Discord. We did record as many as we could grab. There are a lot there. I'm scanning right now, and I see Gina Fire Lotus. Thank you so much. I see you feverishly adding them as I'm speaking. So I'm pretty sure we grabbed them all. There are a ton. I'm going to do everything I can to get those answered tomorrow before the update, so that when the update gets posted, that I can link to that and say, hey, look, I answered them all. So thank you, everyone, for your questions, and thank you for being patient with us as we try to answer as many as we can, and thank you for backing the project, and thank you for being great supporters of the game. Thank you for giving us critique to make the game better. Thanks for testing the game and reporting the bugs. And speaking of reporting bugs, I mentioned at the very beginning when answering a question about bugs reporting, if you have reported a bug and you have not seen us say bug entered or noted or some similar response.
And we're trying to put a JIRA number on them so you can reference them in the future if you're curious about things, and we can quickly access them.
But if you never saw us say that, that means that bug never got entered into our system. And so unfortunately what that means is please re-report those bugs again. Even if you reported something already in a previous release, please report it again until such time that you see us say bug entered, noted, or some other response like that.
Yeah, and if it's still the same release and you just posted and you're really eager for a response and you're wondering a day or two later, well, they haven't gotten to my post yet, please don't post a new one in that instance. Please reply to your existing bug post and just say, hey, checking in. Did you guys see this yet?
Well,
but
I'm really talking about like release to release.
Yeah.
So like if you reported something in like R30 and it's now R35 and we never responded back in R30, please report it again in R36, right? It's really more about it's from release to release, because when we move on to the next release, we start looking at bugs in the next release, and that means unfortunately bugs from the previous release. We don't have time to look at those again. So you guys will do us a huge favor if you report again those bugs that you noted from the previous release if you never saw us respond to them. So I know that's a pain in the butt. I apologize, but it would be very, very helpful if you guys did that.
And we are trying to improve how many we actually enter and track and keep.
Yeah, which is part of the bug
And the
brigade.
process.
Yeah,
And they are all archived in the forums too, so we do keep
Yeah.
all your posts.
Yeah. Just a reminder again, we have our telethon coming up on November 28th and the expirations associated with that. That's also when the 15% bonus expires. And we'll have some cool stretch goals, autumn themed and then winter themed to fall into winter telethon. Get it?
That was a good one. I laughed at that a little bit.
Yeah. Did my best.
Oh, and also I don't want to forget. Last week we started our first weekly community live stream about the community. So we focus on in-game elements, events, new zones, player-owned towns, ones that we've spotlighted and covered. By the way, if your town has not been spotlighted, if you have a PRT, if you're in a PRT, I should say, and you know of a good PRT that we should be spotlighting, or a POT or whatever in the game, let me know, because we do that on a weekly basis and we cover it, or will cover it in future weekly community live streams, which are going to be every week, we hope, that are not a postmortem, that are not a telethon, that are not Thanksgiving, etc. So the next one we hope is going to kick off Friday next week, right after R36 goes live. And we'll celebrate that with the, as usual, Fire Lotus Dance Party, 2 p.m. next Friday. So we'll start the live stream probably as the dance party's wrapping up, and then our focus for the live stream is going to be Hometown. So we're going to be taking a tour of Hometown. We're going to be showing everyone some of the houses that we've recently added in the game, how to decorate the houses, and we may have I'm still talking with them, but we may have one of the developers that has been key to designing the houses in the game come on the live stream and talk a little bit about that.
All right.
So stay tuned. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the R35 Postmortem, and we'll see you next time.